Hey guys, welcome to Checkmate Fusion's first try deck profile. You guys sounds like you had 2 yesterday, but we're doing 3 today for the PlayTCG March 31st Webcam Regional, the first set of American regionals featuring the biggest change, the energy marker, and a brand new mulligan system. So all 3 of us played basically the same deck, a couple different ratio stuff, which we'll kind of talk about reasons why or what have you. But really, we'll just get straight into it. I'm Dane Reich. You can find me at twitch.tv/Dane Reich. Socials are all the same. There's like a world champion or something here too, I think.
He's talking about DeCoste. But I'm Michael Legends Carrick. Nice to see you guys again on this new team. And then we're also joined by...
Oh yeah, I'm Rob DeCoste. I'm the other guy. Oh, that's right, the wannabe world champion.
He's really good at
Rob
winning.
DeCoste, teacher in residence, and I have no other cool titles to attach to my name.
Swiss winner at lots of events.
Let's not talk about it. Okay? Let's not talk about it.
He's not ready. Okay, but we're just gonna jump straight in. I'll go ahead and put us straight down. We are playing Tapion, or we all played Tapion. Sorry. So Tapion is a brand new leader, kind of the one that like it reads pretty good, but you're like, there's got to be something wrong here. And it turns out there's just not really something wrong here. It does read that good. Front side is very simple. Search top 5 on swing. You're gonna look for Trunks Youth, Hirudegarn, or Heroes, or Phantom Demons. I think technically, not Hirudegarns. Best part about it: no energy costs. You can find your 8 costs. So if you have big cards, you can find them. If you have little guys, you can do the same. Your awakening condition is extremely simple. If you have a blue Hirudegarn in play and 2 or more energy or 4 or less life, you can 1/1, draw 1, restand 1, and continue forward. Backside as an auto that basically says when you combo with some hero cards, 2 1-drops, you can play up to 2 of them from your combo area. If you do, you negate the skill for the turn. The other auto is, oh my gosh, I don't even know.
They go to the drop.
All your 1-drops go to the drop area, yeah.
The ones in
he has another effect? For a second, I was like, that's crazy. Yeah. But no, all the 1-drops that are in rest mode go away. And then activate battle once per turn. You can just combo with a 1-drop from your drop area, the 1-drop heroes. So basically, at the very worst, this leader reads, as long as you have a hero over here, you can be a 20k once per turn and then draw a card. Right? Not bad.
It's like the Green Goku, but not as good.
Yeah, it's somehow the leader is actually worse than that card, but that card's crazy. So, we've got a lot of really basic stuff for the deck. This is gonna feel so familiar. This is just us doing Golden Frieza again. Here's 4. Here's 4, 4, and 2. So these are just the 1-drops. This is my difference maker, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But when it's played, draw a card, activate battle. You can pop a Hirudegarn, pop it for a Hirudegarn, a 5k. Honestly, pretty relevant. Makes your 30 into a 35, makes your 15s a little bit bigger. It can also like protect itself from weird spots. Like U6 can't like swing into it to try to like get a big burn off, right? You just activate battle, place it, and drop. Or if a card says like when a card is KO'd. So like I was playing a green Broly deck and I couldn't kill it with Broly to make them discard cards. So just weird stuff. This Minotaur is crazy. Draw a card, and then if you'd like, you can pay a blue, activate main, place it in the drop area, and search top 7 for another 1-drop hero and play it. And that one comes in active mode. So if this one's in rest mode in your board, you just place it and drop for a blue, and then exchange it for, most likely, another 1-drop cantrip that's now in active mode so it doesn't leave. That's... why? Well, it's because it was a set 14 card in a bad deck, and now it's in a set 24 deck as a good card. Tapion up here has the exact same activate battle as the Minotaur, but it's top 5 for a hero, Trunks, or Phantom Demon 4 or less. So, pretty relevant. And then finally, this is the old 1-drop searcher. Searches for 3 or less, so it is worse. It still finds your new Hirudegarn pieces, your other cantrips. But notably, it finds a 2-cost unison, which is in the sideboard, which we can talk about when we get there. So I play one of it because you can just, if you don't want it, just don't play this one, right? Like it's a one of that. If it's good, you can just recycle all these cards as many times as you want. So if you need that unison search, you just constantly, every turn, you use this one from your drop. Yep, that's really about it.
Yeah.
anything to say? How many should we be playing?
Yeah, I mean, actually, talking about the set 24 Tapion there, that little searcher. For anybody looking to pick up the deck, that's actually the one you want to open up in the early game to help you find
I
yourself
agree.
Awakeners. And then I actually find myself picking it up to my hand and then charging it later, because almost every card in your deck is so useful, except for like arms and legs after you awaken, and then that Tapion.
Yep, everything is super for value. Speaking of other Tapions and heroes, I've only got 4 bouncers. My bad. 3 of the main set Tapion, double strike, remove a card. They effectively draw a card because they add back a rest mode hero to your hand. Activate main speed for the Tapion, activate battle for the Trunks free attack. This is the new tournament promo. You guys are rich and have 3 each, right?
Yeah, we have set.
Yes.
It's a
I
play
pulled
set.
one. I pulled one yesterday. Yay, me. So I've got one.
I mean, I think that card's actually critical to the deck. It lets you recycle your 1-drops on your opponent's turn. There are so many matchups where it's huge for, like U7, you can get yourself out of a double strike, versus Red Gohangs to get you out of that dual attacker. And then it synergizes so well with the card that the 6-drop that we're playing later in the deck to get you an extra energy.
Yep, I think it's definitely a good card.
It's also like pretty largely relevant in the mirror match, which I ended up playing today. There was a situation that occurred where my opponent was gonna extend into the double striker with one of his rest mode cards, and actually free attacked his own 1-drop back to his hand.
Yeah.
Bottom deck, right?
No.
To play the free attack, you just had to return 1 hero to its owner's hand. It doesn't say your hero.
No shot.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. And so I caught him off guard because he was swinging with a 20k crit Hirudegarn. I know, look at Dane's face. So he was swinging with a 20k crit Hirudegarn, and he had 1 more hero in play, and he had an extra energy and the marker. And so I just went, pay 1, bounce your own hero to your hand. He's like, what? And it had Dane's face, basically. Then bottom decked his Hirudegarn swing. And then he was like, well, that effectively ends my turn because I was going to go into the double strike, but now I'm not going to overextend by playing a 1-drop and using the marker. And it got me out of a turn. I mean, it got me out of a pretty aggressive turn from the deck. I think it was on his turn 2 or 3. So it's pretty cool. So it's like very niche situation, right? Where just like, I'm going to bounce your own card. But it's like,
it's relevant.
Yeah, that's huge in the mirror match. Also, like, this is one of those decks where we want to awaken on turn 3 in a perfect world. So on your turn 2, there's almost not very much to do. So you're gonna leave it. You maybe play a cantrip and you'll leave 1 up for defense, and then that Trunks free attack is the best defense on going into your opponent's turn 2. Most of everybody's turn 2 involves like a 4-drop or less. So that Trunks attack just deters that aggression. So you can stay at like 5 or 6 life.
Well, that's if you're going for like this path of awakening, though, right? Like, I don't know what your guys' like split was in terms of awakening on 2 versus 3 energy.
I was almost always awakening on 3, and I was awakening with a Rudigarn on the Rudigarn 8 on 3.
Yeah, that's what I typically go for when possible. Obviously, there are like aggressive matchups where you're just like,
sure.
Cards,
yeah,
whatever.
absolutely.
Or sometimes I was gonna say, or sometimes I'll even play the arms or legs on my 2 and then just not awaken, just to be able to have the ability to awaken too.
To hold it.
I just like the cantrip and just to build a board. If you don't have to establish, if you already have a board established when you go to your turn 3 with Rudigarn, that it's so free, especially like if you can just play the Hirudegarn on leader swing and then awaken and then combo from the drop and then combo from the field, there's so much value you're gaining on that one play if your opponent's just not touching your board in slower matchups. And even like Vegito X, like you're not really doing a lot of clearance if your battle card is in active mode. So like in those matchups, you're like generating a big hand really early just by just playing your cantrips and passing. It's like it's pretty good. So
exactly.
We like big hands.
So these guys are the Hirudegarns from the set that are basically the intended awakeners. They both have an activate main for a blue to play them, draw 1 card, if you have 2 or more energy. Play them, draw 1 card, and then place a Minotia or a Tapion from your deck into your drop area. It's cool to have 5. I think, realistically, if we expect a meta where you need to search for a 2-cost unison, specifically being Tapion, this is a better ratio, right? Is switching over to 2 of this just so you can always get the 1 good Tapion out of your deck. But 99% of times, removal 15k is better than 20k crit.
Yeah.
It just is.
I mean,
Great.
yeah, DeCosta and I played the 3-1 split today, just because we were trying to slim the deck down to see the SCR as common as often as possible. But there's times where I drew the arms and I was just so mad at myself. Like I didn't even have a Tapion in the deck, right? But it is notable to mention for those deck builders out there that the arms is better if you're going first. Because there's a really cool line where you can play the arms and then attack with the arms to kill your onboard Tapion or onboard hero to gain crit, then awaken and combo with the one out of the drop to get like a 30 crit on turn 2 or something like that. Like,
Which is cool.
yeah, it's not amazing, but it exists.
Yeah, it's just like I feel like this deck struggles a little more with aggro than with long game control, and so I really find that like making sure that you get that removal is just so important. Especially because I think this deck likes to go second. I think because of the next card we're going to talk about, this guy, I think this deck likes to go second. It's not necessarily preferred or anything like that, but it gives you like an entirely different game plan when you get to do that.
Yeah.
The Deval Hero card?
Yeah, and before we move on to that, notably the reason why we're playing even the one copy of the arms is for black. Their counterplay makes it so if they go first, it makes it so you might not be able to awaken on 2, and they're fast enough that you want to awaken on 2 into that deck.
Yeah.
So like if you go to play in arms or legs and you're trying to awaken on 2 and they have the counterplay, they're limit 1, so you're gonna have to play the other one at that point.
Which is very scary because you do not want to have to like go down to 4 because they'll just always 5 to 3 you in that deck. They have so many double strikes that they can just control it.
Yeah, but yeah, that's all I have for that.
Deval. There are I think 2 basic philosophies for the deck is like the mid-range one that we kind of all played today, but I also think that I worked on one with DeCoste, a week ago, of one of just like I'm just gonna focus on how ridiculous this card can be and consistently is. And then just constantly when my opponent's on 4 energy, I'll be at like 8 or 9. And I'm just going to start slamming like all the best blue boss monsters in the game. And I think it's a really reliable, maybe one of the most reliable ramp decks that we have right now.
I agree. Plus, like this is the perfect core to facilitate this card, right? Like we have the 2 cards in the combo area, so we can play it from an empty board at all times. And then we even have the free fodder to get the ramp off of. It's so strong.
Go ahead.
Yeah, my only like downside to the card is like it gets stuck in your hand for those matchups where it's not great. That's why we cut it down to 2. It's like not easy to combo out of your hand. You can't charge it, and like it's a card you want really early, but most of the tempo of the game doesn't let you play it pretty late.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest part is really that you just like need it right away, which makes it not like worthy of being a 2 of. Like that's why I played 3. Like even if I had the Trunkses, I would not have played less than 3 of this card. It's still searchable by the leader's swing, which is really good. But some of the biggest impacts that the card can make, I don't know if you guys have high rolled with it yet, where you're like, all right, so I have this, I'm on turn 5, maybe your actual turn 4, your actual turn 5, this guy's maybe still out from a prior turn, or you played a new one, and then you bounce it to your hand using the Hero's Melody, and then you just play it again and do both effects, because it's unique, no limit 1 anywhere on the card.
That is pretty cool. I haven't tried that. I didn't think about the fact that it bounces to your hand. That is really high roll, but that is cool.
But honestly, it sounds high roll, but right, if they just don't remove it for a turn, that's not very high roll, right? Now, I do agree that like pay 3 and then pay 3 again is high. Like, what are the chances you got 6 open energy for that? But
yeah,
I mean, depends on the deck style. If it's like what we were playing last week, that sounds really great. Like ramp to Tide, ramp to Tragedy, ramp to double Kale, whatever. You know what I mean, right? Ramp to 16 and tap your opponent's Beerus leader. I don't know, like but yeah. I mean, I really kind of like that a lot. Actually, it's cheeky, but I can see it also not being plausible. But then again, most of our Z deck is not playable because we're not charged. So like, what's the harm in citing the 1 extra card, right?
I agree.
Right,
well, especially because it's already good enough to like pay one of these, remove something, bounce it back, and then play this instead, right? Like that's already good enough.
Yeah. So
I agree.
Yeah, there's definite value there. So really cool.
That's Rudigarn. Thanks to Ball for this card, and then thanks to Bandai for designing an entire deck around this card.
Yeah, see, my favorite moments of the day were like when I didn't have the 8-drop in my hand and I swung on turn 3 and then top decked it.
Yeah,
top 5, yeah.
Every time.
And I'm like,
yeah, I do it every time. You just relied on it on 2.
Theoretically, like by turn 2, you should be pretty deep into your deck already.
Yeah.
Sorry, by turn 3. Excuse me. By
Yeah.
turn 3, you should be pretty deep into your deck already. So you have a much higher likelihood of seeing it. We ran 2, and I think I missed it one time of my 5 rounds that I played.
Hey, I didn't miss it once.
I think I missed it once on 2 in the deck.
Yeah.
So
I definitely missed it like 3 or 4 times. I don't know about you guys. I was low rolling all day today.
We were playing 53 cards, bro.
Oh, one more card.
2 cards. 2 more cards. We're playing 51.
makes a difference. Makes a difference.
Yeah, it does.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, do you guys like to tap 2?
That card's
I
nuts.
like tapping 2.
Yeah. Hey, we love it.
Yeah.
This is like the boss monsters, but also utility, and they all get played in entirely different ways. But
Yeah.
they all cost 2 blue.
Yeah.
You want to take over how important these cards are?
Well, actually, I do want to ask, how are the Piccolos today? This was a late edition. Like, we're talking in the airport last night, like, getting ready to fly home from Dallas. Hey, let's put Piccolo into the deck because your Rudigarn was terrible. So, Mike, how about you? How was it for you?
I played the Piccolo twice today. I'm not gonna lie. I only played a 2-1 split. The first time I played it played a Pan, and that Pan set me up for 2 8-drops later in the game, so that was sick. And the second time I played the Piccolo was because my opponent had cleared my board, and they were playing red, and I didn't want to start with the leader swing into Explosive Dance. So the Piccolo came up really well into that. I couldn't get Gohan because I would give it barrier versus red. We really just put it in the deck because we want to attack from a clear board, right? And so it came up for there. But like versus green, it came out versus like it's probably would stay in versus black, probably stay in versus yellow. But it was the Piccolo / Pan engine was like the thing I would probably set out the quickest.
I feel like you should play it against green, though, right? It's green Saiyans, I'll specify, because of uneasing, right? They're going to have a lot of board wipes, and then if they just like uneasing your leader swing, playing like a cantrip into attacking with it, lose a card to not really get value seems really, really wasteful and bizarre. Obviously, they have the best barrier removal, but I feel like that's probably black and green are probably the decks where it's the best against, maybe next to like yellow. But certainly against blue and red, it's not that great.
Well, it's like I would argue against that for red because what it lets you do is it dodges baby, or it dodges the Gohan defeating the demon, and it dodges the Videl counterplay when you're in open board into Explosive Dance. That way you don't have to swing your leader first into that.
That's fair.
Also, it's
honestly,
perfectly numbered at 20, which is like all of your Z energy.
Yeah.
So you get another swing with it always.
Yeah.
Most games I set it out because you just need the space in the deck. Like, it's the first thing. Between that and like maybe my Overroam, I would side my Overroam out in a lot of matches. I just don't want to Overroam because why do I want to get rid of my drop when I'm using it so frequently? So for me, it's like, okay, maybe the Overroam needs to just get cut from the list entirely, but it's still good for those. It's still good for those moments when you just need that extra push. But like, it sucks when you draw it early because you're like, great, I just have a dead card for the rest of the game.
Especially if you have like an 8-drop or 2 in your hand, and you're just like, okay, so 2 of the 6 cards are not chargeable.
Yeah. And so
I sided out my Overroam too.
There, the Gotenks and the Trunks Tapion cards, those are great. I mean, they're fantastic. The Trunks Tapion, as Legends knows, reads like crap. It looks bad on paper because it doesn't draw, but it does draw, sort of, but only if it gets into combat. And most of the time, my opponent would handle like Mutaido it or Mafuba it because people have realized that the card is quite a bit of a powerhouse. Or Petrification. I didn't play a black deck. I didn't play a black deck this entire weekend.
Bro, that's crazy. I played Vegex and Vegito today.
Yeah, not one.
It's important to know that you still get to pick up, like, you can still trigger the activate battle if it's not the one in battle. So, like, if they do like Mutaido, you can swing with leader, pick up the 1-drop. It still picks up 1-drops on your opponent's turn.
Right.
And then it also counts as a Trunks Youth for the Gotenks next to it. So, like, if you slam both in the same turn, it's just an unbelievable amount of pressure because they're both dual attacks. And
then you still get an energy.
Yeah, and you still get an energy back. So, like, it's a play you can make on your turn 4 and get super far ahead.
And then your opponent plays that 3-drop extra card from your cooler opponent plays the 3-drop extra and KOs your entire board. That's what happened to me.
That's how awesome. 25. They're just both 25, so everything can attack through Explosive Dance together.
Yeah.
These cards feel really like I'm glad I really like the 3/3 because they're both cards that you resolve like exactly one time, and when you do, it's like the most important thing you do. So like I don't feel bad about charging them early game. I don't feel bad about comboing them away for Explosive Dance. They're just like exactly right at 3/3.
Yeah, I agree.
God, aren't you guys so glad that the 6-drop in U7 is a 6-drop?
I mean, that's actually worth mentioning here. It's like this. There's a word for it, but it protects us against. God, that's not the best word for it. But this Gotenks protects us against the U7 matchup, right? Like it makes it so they can never. Yeah, ensures us. There's probably a better word for it. But yeah, it ensures us against the U7 matchup. Like they can never go in on us while we have energy up because of this card. And then even if we don't have energy up, it's actually kind of difficult to go in on us. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like Zeno Bean.
Yeah.
Like, right, yeah, it's like a minus to your hand size, but if you're removing their 6-drop, they're locked into a certain subset of cards.
Yeah.
Completely different board state.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Plus, like, you can't really predict what SCR is being played in this deck, right? Like, even if you were to get tapped out, like, they still have to play around the fact that you might be playing Goku SCR. And, or Hatch, yeah, and they still lose. And it's scary because the U7 combo most of the time requires them to tap themselves out to go for it. Mm-hmm. So it gives you a lot of time to play.
I've been really thinking about Hatch more. Well, I think all of us played Gohan. We'll reveal it later.
Yeah.
I don't think Goku is the right choice for this deck, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah, it's definitely not.
Card is super crazy still, but like, I don't think this deck's inherent defense, especially if you are Koitsukai, I don't think its inherent defense is good enough to be like, oh, well, I'll just play whatever really recklessly or do whatever. Like, the board wipe of Gohan has been extremely relevant. Mm-hmm. So I think that's kind of the biggest piece. So we can just talk about those here as we get to them. So just remember to tap 2 blue.
Yeah, everything in your deck literally costs 2 blue.
This is the suite of good one-ofs that, I mean, every blue deck is kind of already on exactly this set of one-ofs. Yeah. And then this is just, we're only on one of this rather than 2.
Yeah.
4-0.
Yeah.
It's just, it's what's needed, right?
Yep. This is really sick when you go second with the Hrudegarn. Mm-hmm. Just getting to like play Boo on your turn 3 going into their 4. Obviously there are some decks that are better at dealing with it against others, but like if you play it against one of the black decks or one of the red decks, if you're still able to like remove their board at all, you feel so good with Boo out.
Yeah, or like if you ever get to resolve Beast and you just untap the 2 mana and play Boo, like you can, it's hard to lose. Like you've reset the game and now you're ahead with the Boo developed and a Beast. Their first action has to be to remove Beast, which costs energy to do, and then they still have to get through the Boo.
Yeah,
so, like
that is exactly what I did in my very last round. I literally was on my turn 4 against Vegex, and I paid 2 for Beast. I went down to 3 cards total in hand.
Yeah.
And then restood 2 energy because I didn't want to get petrified. Immediately slammed Boo, and just went, all right, go.
Good luck. Yeah. Yeah. And like, I mean, as usual, Dan and I always play 1-drops or one-ofs in our decks, and DeCoste is getting onto that board too. But like, we are playing a deck that draws literally so much that you're going to see you're almost guaranteed to see your 1-ofs every game. Mm-hmm. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
To be fair, in my defense, back in the day when I played Mecha Frieza, I played 15 1-ofs in the deck, but you know, different time, different life,
different time. So these cards are just like the most impactful cards in the game, right? Like when these come down, they like this Gohan in the early game can just be the most ridiculous lifesaver. If you're playing against Gohanks and you just like didn't remove their whole board, the next turn they have to like start with stuff so that they get the value out of like the effective dual attacks, and you go, okay, combo, lead skill, combo out, and then pay a blue, it's gone. Right? Yeah. Like just removing their extra draws or their extra whatever. Boo, like, whatever. We already know. Secret ID, I don't know about you guys. The reason I preferred Secret ID was, one, it still matches your 25k, so it can swing through and with Explosive Dance. But wide removal was a harder thing than tall because we do have selective tall removal, or you can just swing 25s and 30s into stuff. I don't know if that's how you guys felt, but that's how I specifically was feeling.
I mean, to me, I don't think the overround mattered. I'm not gonna lie. I chose to play Secret ID for the mirror match. That's it. It could have been anything other than that. But versus not the mirror match, I just side out my overround most of the time. It's just it's like it was the card that just didn't feel impactful. We can remove everything before we even like most of our attacks go at face because we have so much free removal. The 8-drop removes on swing. Oob removes 2 things on swing. The Tapion like everything removes. The Go Tanks removes. You're removing on your opponent's turn. Like it seems kind of unfair in that sense. And then it should be mentioned too that Gohan 8-drop also gets you out of the Green Goku matchup really well. When they play the dual attacker Goku for that plays on 3, yeah, it like insta snipes that card without you losing a battle card in response. So that's actually really big too.
Which sucks because a lot of times, right, they'll play the first one and you're like, oh, I don't have an answer for this, and then they play the second one and you're like, and now I can't even like board wipe them for like a generally profitable trade.
Yeah,
definitely came up in my matches today.
Yep.
Counter Monkey, cool. Counters are still as broken as ever because sometimes they just win the game.
Yeah, especially in a deck that can ramp and has the aggression behind it. It's nuts.
Go on. I've been thinking about Hatch more, personally, play style wise and whatever. But Beast is crazy. It's the weirdest part about it is just how frequently, and I know that you guys all feel the same, is that I just play it and immediately use its effect. Like I'm not going to restand it. It's always going to be energy or like. I started with an Oob and I was just like, all right, great. Now I'm going to restand my Oob and get another double strikeout instead of another 40k. A lot of times it was just the right call. Or, you can like restand your leader and your boos if you've been floodgated from, battle cards or whatever. And then you just go in with those instead.
It's absolutely accurate. It's exactly what I've been. I don't think I've connected with Beaston ever since I've been playing the deck.
I think I've dealt like damage.
Yeah.
Like it's not, you always deal the one. But it's that single damage that you're not.
It's funny you say that, Dane, because a lot of times, I don't know about you guys, but a lot of times when you play Beast on, you're not getting the life because your hand might be bigger than theirs anyways.
Yeah.
Try to force it.
So its whole utility is different in this deck, right? It's not meant to be the turn 3, slam it down and try and kill your opponent. It's meant to be the stabilize, gain tempo, and put pressure, apply pressure, right? So
it's also just so impactful in a Z Unison format, right? Like those Z Unisons don't go back to hand, so that's huge.
Minus a card,
yeah.
And then also we have a lot of early barrier right now, just with Vegito and cards in like the Green Goku deck, playing like the barrier blockers and stuff is just very obnoxious and immediately. See ya. Floodgates. I could see a 4th eventually, but we'd have to like change the Z deck around to make sure. But 3 is probably just the right answer. You could maybe side a 4th in a more aggressive format, but we're kind of in a mid-range format right now. Honestly, mid-range leaning control, and then we have like one aggro deck.
Yeah.
So cool. Very difficult to get online. I don't know about you guys. It just takes a long time for it to get online, which is why I made a certain change in the Z deck, which we'll talk about. But
I mean, actually, yeah, talking about getting online, there's a really cool awakening line where you can awaken with the Hrudegarn 8-drop and not use your leader skill to combo from the drop, right? You combo the 1 from the field or 2 from hand, however you want to do to get the 8-drop. You play the 2 from your leader skill after you awaken. The Hrudegarn sacrifices 1, and then on Hrudegarn's attack, you combo from the drop using your leader skill, and you Z that one. That's your first Z energy of the game. So that's generally how I've created my first Z, and then the rest are just standard gameplay.
Yeah. You can get it online. Like this is our like best way to force it online. The cards that we play like demand answers because the cards you're gonna play are Trunks Tapion 8, Go Tank's dual attack, Beast Han, and like big 8-drop Hrudegarns, right? The 15Ks, people are just gonna remove them, the 20Ks, but like these cards demand answers because if they live, not only do they have impactful effects the turn they're played, but they all gain turn over turn value, which is something that this deck is really good about. As opposed to some other decks that are only like enter battlefield type effects.
Yep.
So you can forcibly turn Android 17 on, and I think this is like worth considering into like really aggressive metas, which I expected to play several Vegetos today. I played 1.5 if we count the Vegex, but
yeah,
cool. We all played this, right?
Yep.
Pretty sure. 2/2. It's for sure the right call. 1,000,000%. This is unbelievably perfect.
Yeah.
I saw both of these every single game, and I saw most of the time I saw both Zenos. just through sheer draw power. But for sure, having this be searchable and constantly just like doing the Tapion every turn until you have seen both of these and then just switching over to Minosha's is so good.
Yeah, we're just seeing it early game off a leader swing or
Yep.
like your first search. Like it's so big.
I'm starting to wonder if I played them because I went 5 games and I didn't see a Zeno.
That's pretty crazy.
That's actually
Never
sad.
do.
Yeah.
But Zeno fixes your charges from Garden. It gives you energy back when you're tapped out, which is super relevant into like yellow right now because they're all playing Annihilation. It's super relevant because everybody is now pulling in. Since this deck's defense, as we mentioned earlier, is not quite as strong as other blue decks typically, we rely on the D magic a little bit more, right? Like we can't like fight our way. We get the 1 free attack, but then after that, we're not really fighting.
Yeah.
So the Zeno to restand energy when they're playing the barrier demagicate, super important.
Yeah. Plus, yeah, and it ensures us against. There's still. I'm gonna get that word later. It ensures us against U7. That's the big thing.
It's gonna come to you tomorrow after the video's already been edited and uploaded.
Yeah.
I found out that, and I didn't know this actually. That against U7. If I had known, I would have played differently. But they played Absolute Annihilation. And I went to D-Magic from Life and then used the energy marker to do it. And I couldn't do it because apparently it's not legal to do.
You had to tap an energy.
Yeah, you can't tap your energy marker to pay the cost.
So energy markers are not cards. So you cannot pay them for any. They do not count as energy and they do not count as cards, which is super relevant. They are just a thing that kind of floats around in the ether. But you cannot tap them for a post cost. You can't use it for anything else. It's just
yeah, good to know. I mean, it cost me a game against U7, so
unfortunate.
I just could have used my marker instead of my actual energy. So yeah, it was kind of. I was like, I had no idea. So it's okay, but one of those things.
We're on Dimension Magic, Bean, UI. I think Legends and I will play this ratio until we die.
Yeah.
Are you on the UI too, DeCoste?
Yep. Yeah.
It's such a strong one. I do think it was a little stronger when we had Goku. I gotta say, but like it's still very good. There were a lot of attacks today that they like, and especially because I think this is something that happens very frequently. This is a deck that, much like U7, and any deck that has lots of free combos, is that your opponent, it's on them to make sure that they match the ugly number for you. And if your opponent goes 25 to try to match your 25, and you just go, okay, it feels really good, right? Especially if they lose cards out of hand to do it.
Yeah. Plus, like we have so many double strikers in the deck, and it's just all of our attacks are like 25Ks or 20Ks. Like a 35K is an ugly number for most other decks too. Like it's just gross.
This is so huge. On like turn 2, you're just like, remove a guy. Yeah, it's so strong.
And just having it is God, here's that word again. It just ensures you against, getting dumped in on. Like people can't just calculate your combo power because you just have it.
You have an extra 15. Everything is a 15 now. I feel like we could have an extra bean occasionally. It's a card that gets sided out frequently, but also I noticed it. If I didn't have a 17 and my opponent started 15k in me, that was when I felt really bad today. So like having an extra bean could be something to look at in the future. We'd obviously have to find where to cut, but
yeah, bean is how we play around Koitsukai. To be fair, like they Koitsukai you'll bean that turn, and then you'll use your leader skill and generate Z energy. Like that's how you get attacks at that point.
Yep. So that's extra cards.
Yep.
That's blue. That is actually the whole main deck. Z deck, I guess, is next, huh?
Yeah.
I think we're really darn close, right? Like we're like single cards off.
Yeah. Yeah, we're practically on the same note.
Yep.
So Trunks Unison, I used it today. My opponent like floodgated me with I don't even remember. It was something about like a Nimbus maybe. No, I really don't remember, but it was something where I couldn't attack with battle cards. Oh, I got Tenacious. That's what it was. And then like I put him down to a 1 card, and he had like 2 cards in hand and 1 entered or tapped out, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm out of attacks, except that I can just like tap 2 and just make it like a 35k single for game. And that was like all it took.
It also facilitates Hunt from the Z deck. Hunt to the Demon God. Like I boarded one today, and it lets you have Hunt online whenever it's in. Like once you have it in drop, whenever you need it, you just.
How are you getting that card in the drop area though?
just using it versus the decks it would be played against. So like Gogeta, they're gonna tap out and set up D Magic. So you hunt the first time and then you just have it available.
They're gonna. I'm sorry. How are you? Hunt of the Demon God is the counter.
Yes.
How are they countering you in black? Or what free?
Gogeta, not Vegito. Gogeta.
Oh, okay. Gogeta. Yes.
And
yes,
it's also
yes,
good
yes.
versus like green.
Great against green.
Really good. Yeah, I definitely feel like I could pull that in because I definitely was like they get tapped out, but at the same time, it's one of those things where if you tap them out and then you go for Gohan Beast, and like they're gonna like uneasing to do that, you're like, okay, cool. So not only did I just burn you, and I've got my 40k. One card to push those attacks through just doesn't matter when your attacks are, as we've talked about, 25s, 30 rip a card, 35 double.
Yeah,
they're so huge. This was just because I wanted to turn on Android 17, and also I didn't have Begrudging Allies. I had something else. So blue, the triple package, and then 1/1. You guys played something else though. If someone wants to show it off.
Yeah, Robert, you can talk about it. It's your tech.
Sure. Yeah. So, Final Kamehameha. Pull up the screen. Starter deck card from the Trunks Future. This doesn't have a specified cost, nor does it really check anything for color. It's just to activate battle. If your battle card 6 or more is attacking, and you send a Z from your energy to your drop, and you get rid of the card itself, you can warp a battle card, just period. And then the attacking card gets +10. So, like, pretty relevant in a situation where, like, I need to clear a board. Maybe there's a couple things on the board. So, like, I play Tapion Trunks, and I'll go into Final Kamehameha. So for 3 energy, I'm removing 2 battle cards, and I'm swinging at them with a 45k double strike, which for 1 card from hand. I mean, this is not coming from hand. I'm still getting the removal.
Neutral though. Neutral because you're adding back the 1-drop.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Net neutral, because you can get the 1-drop back for the double strike, right? So, it applies pressure, but most importantly, I was just kind of looking. When the Z-Dex went up to 10, I was like, what other cards are available, right? And you could play Surmounting because that came out before Specified Black. Can't really play Boo because you need a black leader for the Absorb. Just something a little extra tech because we could play 2 Black Kamehamehas. And these are great, but they're costly and we don't have a lot of Z energy. So the final Kamehameha turned out to be a pretty decent tech that we added in, and I actually ended up using it at least once. It's not a game-breaking thing. It's just a little bit more utility.
It might be a little better than Baby. Right? Like,
I think we're playing the Baby. We cut the
I think
Vegeta.
It's better than this card. I did not play this card even once.
Every
time I put it in there, I'm like, I wish this was a Goku, because then at least I could like put a 13-card hand down to 10.
Yeah, so for Legends of Myself, we did the 2 Kamehamehas and the final Kamehameha.
Yep.
And then the 21. Oh, my camera's going to zoom.
Just use the camera down.
Oh, it's okay. I'm already here. The Goku, the Beerus, the Janemba. We actually cut the Vegito, I think.
Correct. Yeah.
And then the Zamasu, the Janemba, and the Cell. Oh, I played low rarity, so all my cards look like garbage. Sorry.
Yeah.
So they're all like.
Here, we'll put it back on the shinies, huh?
Not full art, yeah. So, I mean, I didn't play anything from the Z deck. I don't know about you, Mike, but I just
the Black Kamehameha is the only card. I mean, I played the Janemba once today because I needed a 1-mana 15k attacker. I used Cell to clear versus aggro, and then I played the Black Kamehameha all the time. And it's not really just to use the Black Kamehameha; it's just to facilitate playing the 8-drop, because the 8-drop just needs 2 blue cards in the battle area, so you just have a Z extra out.
Black card. Oh, you're saying Black Kamehameha.
The Black Kamehameha, the Black Kamehameha. Yeah. So so you just have that sitting on your board at all times.
Beerus won me Vegex today.
Yes. I used Beerus quite a bit, actually. Yeah. I used that into blue.
Yeah, very.
I think I played it once too. So that was our tech. I mean, some small differences. There was one instance in the final round. I was like, I wish I had the Vegito in the Z deck. There was a situation where I had like 6 or 7 energy. It was the mirror. It was in the Tapion mirror, and I was like, I just need something big to connect, and I just didn't have anything in my hand left. And a Vegeta would have been clutch there. So, it may be something I look at and go, maybe we should add this back in. But
That's how I feel about Z-Decks right now, though, right? Like, there's just like all these cards that, like, okay, well, in theory, these are useful. Like, Janemba is a removal piece, is this, but I find myself literally missing not having a Vegito.
Yeah.
And I don't play Janemba, right? In theory, Janemba is like more useful. It's got more applications, but I think in practice, you constantly find yourself like, I need a big way to end the game, or like a weird one would be if you don't have Gohan, you know, it's in your life, or it's like, if it's in your last 2 life, you can't really like gamble all that much, just like taking that damage. So like, oh, well, I need to remove a Unison. You know what's a really easy way to remove a Unison? Get rid of your blockers, triple.
Yep.
You know, like just walking over it. And
Speaking of which, I don't think I've used the Zamasu once since I built this deck.
I should have today once.
Yeah.
Against black. And I think that's maybe where we have to utilize it a little more. Like if you think about Vegito, right? If they have the 4-drops out, a cleaner, less hand costly way would be to like pay 4 for Ender 21 while you either have a D Magic or Zeno waiting. Bottom deck, they're 4s, 5s, you know, the Heated Fighting Spirit that they paid 1 for, and then just go Indestructible Blocker. And then if they want to petrify it, it's like, great, I board wiped you, discarded 2 cards, and then on my next turn anyway, I'm just going to do it again.
Yeah.
I think that's probably where it's going to shine. But like, you do have to have the setup for it, right? Z Energy, and then also a way to not be tapped out on 4.
Yeah, I mean the deck. It's nice to play a deck that isn't Z deck reliant. So all 10 cards in the Z deck are literally just toolbox cards. Like that's the best way to describe this deck. The entire deck is just toolbox.
Heroes that you guys
I don't even play that card anymore.
Yeah. I literally resolved it today, so that's all I gotta say about it. Yeah, it wasn't a double ramp. It was a value based play. It was like, I'm gonna bounce the Hirudegarn that was already on my board from the turn prior. Like the 3-drop removal guy, play the 4-drop because I had not yet gotten to combat, and then that let me go off a little bit, like where I was able to produce 2 more attacks, draw another card, things like that. It was not bad.
Yeah.
Side deck. Whoop, back down. I'm just an idiot, and I forgot that like I'm playing in my home. I had my stuff like with me at locals, and I was like, I don't have begrudging allies. What am I gonna play? And I'm like, oh wait, that's right. I'm playing. All of my cards are over there. That was it. It was just have it ready to go. This could be any counterplay, but definitely we need some kind of counterplay. I lost to Topo today. I can't believe I lost to Topo.
Oh no.
He did that in time, and I was like, are we serious? What year?
Topo, that's it.
Yeah.
I got Oceanist by Isaiah today too, playing Fu.
Nice.
I definitely think this is something we could consider just like as a main board, like one of just not necessarily this, but any counterplay. So that way you are prepared when it happens. Extra Oob for U7, red decks kinda, just because they're more likely to need that Z energy.
Yep.
Very good card.
Really good versus green. Like insanely good versus green. Their entire set of like floodgates outside of the King Cold requires an extra card out of their hand already. So Oob just turns it into a 3-card discard.
Wow, especially if they dormant, right? The double strike still gets through unless they block.
Yeah.
But like the chances they block, not that high because you just remove 3 cards. So if you got a barrier blocker, sure.
Yeah.
2 Tapion. Can't wait to get some judges of these. That'll be courtesy of the cost over there. He's going to ship us the event judges.
I timed that card got a foil. I agree.
Maybe
right?
someday.
It's blue's like only skill negation removal, which is super big. So you can play it against Green Goku. You can play it against Gogeta. It's searchable off of the 1-drop Tapion, which is like the entire reason I really like having just one of.
Yeah.
I mean, right? It's like if you're gonna play a 3rd Tapion, just change it to one of these, and you'll be fine.
I like it. I think it's good. I think that 1 Tapion is fine.
Notably, I tested 2 1-1 for a long time too, and I just kept missing with that one. So I got it eventually.
Mapuba. I didn't play this card. I thought it was bad. You guys want to take it more?
Card's insane. You can talk about it first since you're the one that actually plays Go Hanks, Rob.
I hate that card playing against it. That's unfair. I mean, like it's a really powerful card from set 1, 2?
Something early, yeah.
Yeah.
Union Force.
Yeah, and it just, I don't know why it's still around. To be honest, I hate that card. Now playing it, it's really really great. It's removal for 2 turns. That's
2 turns. Yeah.
it's so good. It's how I got out of my Gogeta matchup in the final round. They had 1 unprotected, and then I just Mafuba the new one. Maybe he thought I didn't have it after I let the first one swing twice at me, but I was like, I'm gonna be patient. I'm gonna be patient, and I'm gonna get that damn Gogeta, and I did, and it worked out great. And then it ultimately got me there. So, I think the card's fantastic. I think as a 1-of, it's fine, and your opponents are expecting it anyways. And I'd rather pay 2 for Mafuba than pay 1 and an extra card for a petrification.
I agree.
They effectively do the same thing. Actually, Mafuba does more. It literally removes it from the game. So for a time period. So,
but anyways, I think the card really comes in versus like Gohank's Vegito X, because obviously it shields the barrier card. It comes in versus Green Goku because you can knock out their Green Goku for 2 turns and not have to worry about it. It actually just trades away their entire turn because they're all willing to slam that card on 4.
Yeah.
Since they feel so safe with it, and you just trade your 2 energy, and now you don't have to deal with it, and you can actually just push their life. So I think it's the best part.
Especially at that point, you can, once they're tapped out on turn 4, you can just go on Beast, get rid of the Unison, or Smoke Dragon the Unison, and then push because they can't dormant. They'd have to discard 3 for uneasing.
Yeah, which then you can hunt of the Demon God and kill them.
True. Extra copy of Gohan. It's really just good against like red. But it's really good against Gohanks. And it's really good against Green Goku, right?
That's
like
true, yeah.
we mentioned this application. Like it's really good into those 2.
That's true.
But that's really about it because you don't need the big boss removal because we have Gotenks. Gotenks.
Yeah.
2 emotional blow. Yeah, card's pretty good.
I love it. Actually, I didn't play it today. It was in the board, but
I played it twice.
I never played it. I do love the card though. I think it's very good, and I think it's worth playing.
Gotenks, unfortunately, being 25 and a 6 is a little rough. So it's only really online from Secret Rare, Big Hero, and Tapion Trunks. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where our side decks differ. We played 1 copy for the Vegito X matchup. Like that's where it's really coming in for.
Yeah, but it's not searchable, so I was just like, I'm gonna play 2 if it's not searchable.
That's fair.
I feel that.
And then the black cards. Tukoit for Cooler, because that matchup in theory is unwinnable. I don't know if it is. I haven't played it yet, but
and the
in
mirror
theory it sounds bad. And the mirror. Yep, card's broken for the mirror. I didn't play either of those decks today. Koitsukai did not come in, but like I would never not play Koitsukai.
Yeah.
Like Dabura, it came in. I didn't feel like it was the difference maker in my green matchups. I lost one and won another, and I didn't feel like I won because I did it. Or I didn't feel like it got me any closer to not losing in that one. I feel like we just draw so many cards. I'd rather focus. I don't know. I mean, it's like fine as a 2 of because it's one of those things where you resolve the one and then you really don't care about it anymore, right? But it's not like you need to resolve both the way that other decks might.
Hey, versus Goku, it crushed. It crushes their 8-drop line so well.
Yeah.
You clear the Goku and then you draw 4 and discard like a Hirudegarn 8-drop from your hand or something. It's insane. And hit them 2 more times. Yeah.
Definitely very good. Also, just like always good with against Solidarity, right? Where you like go first, you want to bait them into Solidarity, so you're like you tap out Dimension Magic from life, and then off of that you get to discard the Dabura, draw 2, and it's pretty good.
Yeah.
3 Smokies. Great card. It should have been black specified. They messed up. They literally they did it right, and then they were like, actually, oops.
Yeah. So that's Smokey's just too good. It lets you play into Vegito X early game, clears Unisons, obviously, clears the 6-drop barrier card.
It's crazy how versatile the card is. That's what makes me think that like it really cannot be like it needed to be black specified. But yeah, you're just clearing the Z, which is not great. A lot of times in the Z Unisons, it does feel kind of bad because like they're not even trading cards in hand. But like some of them are just literally too strong to stick around. If you let Vegito or Bardock stick around for like a 3rd turn, like the 2nd turn is probably going to happen, but if they stick around for a 3rd turn, you're like, okay, so this card that you did not play from your hand has drawn you 3 cards. It's too much. You have to get rid of that guy. And Smoke Dragon's the classic way. Obviously, it's just barrier removal that blue doesn't really have access to. What was your guys' sideboard? What was the difference?
that changed a little for sideboard differences. I mean, those cards we shared. Instead of the third smoker, you played one copy of the baby, a bit of Revenge of the Saiyans, and it's strictly because we can remove unisons on our opponent's turn.
Mhm.
So like when they attack, you bottom deck something on their turn, and you trigger this baby on their turn to remove the unison.
Yep.
So, but obviously, smoke was just a better card because you can just draw smoke and play it. But if you do see the baby, like you can like discard it, and it just I'm gonna get that word later. Ensures you against those unison decks late game because they just can't spend the 2 on the unison anymore once you have this in the grave. Like
Yeah.
Green Goku can no longer play the unison for the rest of the game. Otherwise, they spend 2 and they lose it on their turn. Like that's disgusting.
Particularly useful in the green matchup because they're all playing the new Bardock leader or the new Bardock Unison, and green just makes you discard cards. So
Yeah.
it's a great discard target because you want it in your drop anyway, and then yeah, you could either turn you can get rid of something, bottom deck it, and then trigger the baby. Yeah, it's not searchable. That's okay. It's not the end of the world, but it's not searchable.
Also huge into Vegito, they can play like TFS, choose Fighting Spirit, and then you can Trunks free attack their TFS, and then remove their unison in the same exact window. So now they can't even fuse anymore. Like they have no way to fuse, and they spent the 2 energy to create the unison.
That's crazy that you're playing against TFSs still, but
yeah, or like there's a couple overrounds they play though, like 15Ks as well.
yeah,
that are
that's
Vegetas.
a free drop.
Yeah, so like that's another way to out it. We played a 4th copy of Trunks free attack because we're rich apparently.
Eat the rich.
Yeah, and it's just good for those matchups like U7 and Gohanks, where they both have low to the ground creatures that you want to remove mid back combat. Obviously, great in the mirror.
Yeah.
I just couldn't find space for it in the main. 1 copy of Heavenly Wizard Demigro because we were just too damn scared of Vegito X.
I should have played that. I should have played that for sure.
This is the card I'm just gonna mulligan for in Vegito X.
I think you play 2 though. If that's your plan, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I argue for 2, but I went with the emotional blow because I figured like this, if I mulligan for this, I can find it, and if I don't see it, I can draw this late game. But if I have 2 late game, I can't charge them, and they have to be combo power at that point. So like, this just had more utility going into the late game. So this is why I got away with just playing 1. The begrudging, I think blue counterplays kind of suck. They all return cards to the hand.
They have to, right? Like they.
Yeah, because blue does too much.
If D Magic exists and there's real counterplays, that's not okay.
Yeah, I agree. And decisive is very difficult to set up in this deck. Even playing the baby, like you have to spend 1 for a bad card to set up decisive. So you're effectively spending 1 anyway to discard 2 out of your hand. So begrudging is just a good replacement. I read the card today. We don't actually get the warp effect. We actually just get the first effect where it stops any 3 or lesses from coming into play, and you just warp whatever would come into play instead. But that's like good enough, especially in the mirror or versus Topo counterattack.
Oh, crazy! Really relevant card in March 2024.
And it costs 1 if you have 4 or less. But it's cool that you can use it above 4 or less, which separates it from stuff like Absolute Release Ball that you can't even use early. So that's really huge. And then finally, the Hunt of the Demon God, really just for green. The mirror match is really big because it's really hard to push in the mirror match without tapping out. So a lot of people are forcing themselves to tap out, or they're not willing to play like the long game, especially because they're afraid of decking out. So this comes up a lot in mirror matches and in green. That was the only difference between our decks. So I think in total there was maybe 6 or 7 cards different between Dane's deck and then Decas and I. Decas and I obviously came back from Texas, and literally in the airport we were like brewing the deck. We were changing the deck from Texas. And we were trying to update our team member like literally as much as we came up with stuff, but it's a challenge. So
this team is full of clicks. There's already a divide between the have and the have-nots. The have and the have-nots.
Okay. Yeah, so quickly, let's talk about starting with Dane and then going through Robert and myself. Just talk about what you played against and what you thought was the hardest matchup for yourself.
In order: Green Gohan, U7, Vegito, Fu, Vegito X. Sorry, Fu, Gohanks, the eventual winner, and then Green Goku, and finally Vegito. I feel like Black Aggro is the hardest matchup that we have. They produce the fact that the Vegito is a barrier card is so frustrating from a like how quickly it's online and how impactful it is, because not only is it some big double striker that's going to eat an attack and then it's going to deal damage, But the fact is that if you're playing against Vegito, they also get to draw a card when they block. And then on the next turn, they're going to do it again. And, if you're playing against either one of them, Vegito Xeno is playing 4 of the Supreme Kai of Time mill play, and Vegex is obviously playing like 12 or 15 free play cards. And so it's just like, you're going to always get this insane amount of value off the card. And then after you paid 1 and got rid of cards that were already leaving anyway, I now have to pay 2 or more plus cards in hand to be able to remove it. And then you'll just do it again the next turn because Beyond All Limits lets you grab any card that you need. Even if you don't have all the pieces set up, you just go Beyond All Limits, grab whatever you're missing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so I think that's for sure our hardest matchup. Also, like, they can go so fast. You don't have enough negates to like prevent them building enough Z energy, because any attack gets through, they can build 2 if they want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Super frustrating. I again have not played a black deck this weekend, which is so bizarre, between Go Hanks yesterday and Tapion today. However, and I'm not going to remember everything off the top of my head. Pretty sure round 1 was a bye, round 2 was cooler, round 3 was pass.
Yeah, you had a
bye? Maybe round 3 was U7. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was U7 because it was back-to-back losses at the beginning of the event. Round 4 was a bye. Round 5 was.
Wait, what?
He got people who like, hey, I'm about to drop.
Win.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Round 5 was something. Round 6 was Gogeta, and round 7 was Goku. The green Goku. I did beat the Gogeta.
Scary stuff. Did you see Tapion for the Secret Rare? Or Hunt for Secret Rare?
No, he played Beast Gohan.
What?
Oh.
Yeah,
I mean, not what. I think it's a defendable. Yeah. But I think in this meta,
actually,
I think it makes
he
sense.
wasn't the first person who I saw this weekend doing that.
Interesting.
Still searchable. Blue Saiyan.
Still searchable, and that's how I knew he played it. Gogeta's not easy. Definitely should have lost it. Technically I did, but he I don't remember. I don't even remember if it was. No, it was the Tapion match. The Tapion match I should have lost. I don't need to go into the details, but it was pretty close. The hardest match was the cooler mill at the beginning. That was just he had a really bad start, and I still could, he had 5 cards in his hand the entire time, but Explosive Dance is just still a powerful card, and I was going to try and put him down for game, and he just got his 3rd Explosive Dance out of the first 20 cards in his deck and stopped me dead in my tracks. I was like, yeah, I have 5 cards left in my deck. It's over.
and you're one of the blue decks that has the best answers for that, right? I really feel like Explosive Dance is a color-defining card. Green and black will walk all over you. Thank you for spending the card in hand. And then blue and yellow are just man, okay, pass.
Yeah, kind of happened. I didn't think he would have the 3rd one, to be honest. But he did. I mean, he had a pretty poor start, so that was part of it. And so, but he and I laughed about it afterwards. It was a good game, but it was just even under Quintikai, they have too many answers. Explosive Dance is really bad. You can't play any of your cards because they're just going to cost you more cards out of your deck. It seems like a really, really unfavorable matchup. Every matchup is winnable though, so we just have to figure out what the right line of play is and see the right cards at the right time, right? But every matchup should be winnable. There's no tier 0 decks in this format.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. I mean, no, I agree with that. I think Cooler is probably one of our harder matchups too, but it just takes a bit of practice. I played against 4 Green Gokus today, and my one loss was into Green Goku because of time. I passed with 45 seconds left in overtime. I had energy up. I could have kept attacking. I just didn't know we were in time. So yeah, but so I played against 4 Green Gokus, 2 or 3 Go Hanks, and a Janemba Mill or something like that, and that was my day. Yeah, it was I didn't know.
Played against the same no variety.
Yeah. It's crazy.
We played against completely different decks. That's so funny how that works out.
Yeah.
I played a lot of green and black. Yeah, that was just my day.
Yeah. I was scared to see black for sure because I do think Vegito X is of the meta. I think Vegito X is Tapion's worst matchup, and I think there's going to have to be like a lot of cards dedicated to the board to equal it out. Because I think we're just positive into everything else, or at least like if at worst, like barely above even. Versus
I very much appreciate how easy.
Yeah.
It's not like free, but easy our U7 matchup is because that deck is a true menace, and it still draws a million cards, and now its win condition into the other decks is so strong. Absolute plus Purunga plus a 6-drop. I mean, that's just curtains for every other color in the game.
Yeah. It feels 80-20. I'm not gonna lie. Yesterday in Texas, I learned that like I lost because I once again just passed turn like an idiot. I could have killed him. So like I think especially if you go second into U7, I think it's an unlosable matchup. Their floodgate is horrible in the Tapion. Like Bardock is just a joke. You swing with the creature into Bardock.
This is also terrible too, right? Like,
yeah.
Okay, well here's my 30k double strike boo.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I think
it's hard for them to remove Hirudegarn too. That was one of the matchups that like consistently Hirudegarn gets to live in.
That's incredible because they have like a card from the ZE energy.
So but the thing is that they still have to do it, and if they're only doing that, then that's what they're passing on, right? Because they go like, all right, here's my turn 3. You already played Hirudegarn. Your turn 3. Their turn 3. They spend one of their energy on that. And then they have to keep the other 2 for defense.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
like you're like, okay, cool. So I ramped, ripped a card 30k, and then you did that. All right. Anyway, swing with anything, remove your guy. Go, right? Like, it's very easy. I think that's
very positive matchup. All right, so wrap this up. This has been a really long deck profile, and our editor, will edit out this entire sentence that I'm saying. So let's give our final shout outs. Hey, let's start with I guess I'll start it off since we'll go backwards order. For me, shout out to these guys, these exact guys that I'm playing with right now. They're the reason that playing this game is so fun. Like traveling to hang out with you guys and playing events is super fun. As always, shout out to the Fort Walton Beach guys and every one of you guys that I meet actually at all these events and come up and talk to me about the game. That's it for me.
Awesome, yeah. To you guys as well, to the team. It's been a lot of fun. It's worth traveling. This is why we play card games, right? It's like, we do online events, but they're not that fun. It's because of this interaction and in person that we get to do it, and it's just like it's so worth it. And to my friends back here in Arizona, for trying to help out when they can. And I know we all live very far away, and things have been kind of on a hiatus since nationals, but I'm hoping that the locals here will start to come back and we'll get some more quality testing. I miss you guys. Okay. All right, Dane.
I miss you guys too. I love you. Same exact shout outs to the team. Local scene being MN. I want to give a quick special one to Peter Tao. A great local who's really on the come up. He submarined up at nationals 7-2 after going X2. And so like he's a really great testing partner right now. He comes with a lot of fun ideas. And really, I think that's all you can ask for, right? Is like we have our highest quality in terms of top player representation on our team, but then you also need like the strong locals for reps and for constant games and for random bits of ideas, right? Because we can kind of group think, right? Like if everyone else showed up today with 3 Koitsukais in their decks rather than just 2, and we all showed up with Tapion, and then we went, oh. We don't want to get stuck in the groupthink, and I think it's really important that everyone recognizes their local scene. Make sure to play, go to locals, go to regionals. I'll see people at Peoria, because I don't think DeCasa is joining us, but Legends and I will be there.
Yeah, it's going to be an awesome time. Mm-hmm. All right, that's us signing out from Checkmate Fusion. Thanks for hanging around for this super long deck profile. Let us know what you guys think about a 3-person
table. It's a round table.
Round table.
Team talk.
Yeah, pretty much.
Team talk's just Tapion. It's just Tapion.
Yeah. And let us know what you guys think about this obviously very powerful deck. Yeah. See you guys.
Bye.